I have here the big package of hamburger. It's the 80-20, 80% lean, 20% fat, and it's 4.5 pounds. So I've taken most of that and I've put it in my fry pan here. I'm going to brown that off and take half of it and make taco meat, and the other half make sloppy joes. The other little bit here I think I'll make into hamburger patties and freeze. But this is a really good thing to do if you work outside the home, even if you don't, if you're just a busy mom. But take a large amount of ground beef and brown it off, and then either when you're making dinner, make dinner for the next night or for another night during the week, and then that saves time. What I'm going to do after I brown this off is I'm going to put half into the crock pot and with the stuff for sloppy joes, and then let that cook all day. It's almost noon, so I'll let it cook for another 4 to 6 hours, and then we'll have sloppy joes tonight. While I'm doing that, I'm going to put a saucepan on my stove and put the rest of the hamburger in that and make taco meat out of that, and then we'll have that in a couple of nights, either for tacos or burrito bowls, taco bowls, whatever you want to call them. And so this is a really good way to save time and get some meals prepped or all the way done, ready to go. Or you can also add the ingredients after the meat is browned and put them in Ziploc bags and freeze them and take it out another time, and then just put it in your crock pot. But we're going to brown this off, and then I'll show you what I put into each of the two dishes. So for the sloppy joes, we're going to use some Worcestershire sauce, some ketchup, garlic powder, a sweet onion, possibly some yellow mustard. I don't always put that in, but I might. This is the container I keep my brown sugar in. So some brown sugar and some celery. And then I got these onion buns to have when we serve it. They've been in the freezer. So I'm going to get chopping some onions and celery. The meat is cooked, and I'm just letting it drain right now, and then I'm going to rinse it off in hot water. You want to make sure to cook it thoroughly, especially if you've got a cheaper mix of hamburger, because if you don't cook it thoroughly, the fat will render off into your into your sloppy Joe mix or your tacos, and we don't want greasy tacos or sloppy Joes. So I'm just going to let that sit for a second, then I'm going to rinse it off in hot water and then start assembling our tacos and our sloppy Joe mix. Over here I've made 4 hamburger patties. So out of that 4.5 pounds of meat, I'm going to get 3 different dishes: hamburgers, sloppy joes, and tacos. And it will probably it will feed us more than 3 nights with just the 2 of us. We'll probably get 5, possibly even 6 dinners out of it. It was $14 for that package of ground beef. And so I know that I can get hamburger cheaper at my local grocery store. I can get it cheaper when it goes on sale. But I don't think this was bad for getting as much as I'm going to get out of it. You may want to put green pepper in your sloppy joes. We don't, not all of us like green pepper, so I just leave it out. I got my crock pot out and it's missing, don't look at how gross that is, but it's missing the knob. So I need to find it. Well, I don't know where it is. The weird thing is I just used this last week. So I can't find it in the cupboard that it was in, and that's the only place it's ever been, is on the countertop or in the cupboard where I keep it. So I did try it and I can, but I don't know if it's hot or not. I can turn it on just, and it's getting hot, so I think it's on high. Maybe I'll turn it to low. Okay. So I think that's low. It's hot. I have another crock pot I could use, so maybe I should just do that instead. But it's a lot bigger, so I wanted to use this one. Okay. I'll figure it out. So I'm going to divide this ground beef between the crock pot and a saucepan. Going to add salt and pepper. I didn't salt it at all when I was cooking it, so celery. And like I said, if you want to add green pepper or red pepper or yellow pepper, you can. And the onion. Gonna add some brown sugar, and I like it kind of sweet, so I add quite a bit. Some Worcestershire sauce. some garlic powder. If you want to add a little bit of yellow mustard, you can. Whoops. I don't always do this. And then we're going to put just a bunch of ketchup in here. And you can add a little bit of water if you want. If you don't have ketchup or you don't have enough, you could add a small can of tomato sauce instead. Okay, stir it up. Okay, that's still getting hot, and I'm going to add a little more ketchup to this. If I were doing this in a pan on the stovetop, I would probably add some water to it. But things that cook in the crock pot seem to get really there seems to be a lot of water in them, so well, maybe I will put just a little bit in it. That's pretty dry. Okay, just a little bit of water, and then I'm gonna put the lid on this and let it go all afternoon. Hopefully I find the knob soon. For the taco meat, I'm going to use salsa, or this picante sauce here, oregano, cumin, garlic powder, chili powder, and salt and pepper. So I already have my half of the ground beef put in this saucepan, and I am going to turn the heat. Well, I'm going to turn it to 4 so it gets up to temperature, and then I'm going to turn it on low for a couple of hours and just let this simmer. I'm throwing the rest of the onions that I had from the Sloppy Joe recipe in there, and I'm going to put, this is salt, and I didn't salt the meat, so I am being quite generous with the salt, and black pepper, the oregano leaves, just a couple of shakes of those, some cumin, and a few shakes of that. I don't like a really strong cumin taste, so I go a little lighter on that than you may want to. The garlic powder. You could use fresh garlic or the garlic in the jar if you have it. And I'm going to put a couple shakes of chili powder. If you wanted it more spicy, you definitely could put cayenne in there, or more chili powder than I did. Okay, and then I'm just putting this is picante sauce, but you can use salsa. You could use tomato sauce if you didn't have salsa. And I'm putting some of that water that I got for the sloppy joe mix in there too. So I'm going to put some more salsa in here, and I think I use the rest of that water to like rinse the jar out with. I may put a little more water in it. When we make our tacos in the bowl, like over rice and with lettuce and stuff on it, it can be a little more juicier than when you're folding it up into a tortilla and trying to manage. I'm gonna see if I have more salsa. And I do. So I'm just going to put a little bit more of that in there. So I probably used a half of one of these big bottles. You wouldn't have to put as much in as I did. Put it on low. Put a lid on it and let it simmer for a couple of hours. And I'll check on it probably around 3. Or maybe before. So there I have 3 meals, and they'll make more leftovers, but 3 meals prepped in less than an hour. And I'm just going to quick wash up these dishes. I just have a fry pan and the colander and the bowl that I collected the grease in, and then we'll be all cleaned up. So we've got 3 meals, which consist of 4 hamburger patties that are in the freezer, and then this crock pot. It's not a full crock pot. You can make as much as you want. It's about, it's a little less than half of sloppy joes, and then a half of a saucepan full of taco meat. So we're just going to let these cook, and I'll show you what they look like when it's done and we're ready to eat. Here's the taco meat after 2 hours. I had to turn it off. We had to go someplace and came back, but it went for about almost 2 hours before I turned it off, and now I've got it back on. Here's the sloppy joe mix after 2 hours. I've turned that back on high to get the vegetables cooked. It smells really good. This is the taco meat, and I'm just going to let this cool and then put it in a Tupperware, put it in a airtight container, and put it in the refrigerator, and we'll have it in a couple of days. I turn this down. I turn this down to low. You can't tell because the knob, I still can't find the knob, but it's on low. So I turn this down to low about 30 minutes ago, and I cracked, you can see I cracked the lid a little bit. It was pretty juicy, so I cracked the lid, and so this is our finished sloppy Joe. Vegetables are cooked. Ooh, it's steaming. And it looks really good. It cooked for about 5 hours. I had it on high for probably the first 3 or 4 hours and then turned it down to low. And so here we have our finished sloppy joes. We're serving it on a toasted onion roll. My husband likes mayonnaise on his, and I just like mine plain. It's 2 days later, and I've heated up the taco meat. We're going to have burrito bowls for dinner. But you can use this for tacos, nachos, burritos. It'd be good in a variety of things. So let me show you how we're going to build it. I've got some rice here that I cooked earlier, and I have tomatoes, black beans, corn, onions, green onions, sour cream, guacamole, some lettuce, some tomato and salsa, some tortilla strips that I made earlier today to put on top, some cheese, and then we like ours with salad dressing on top. My husband likes the blue cheese and I like the Western. So let's get started. So we're starting out with the rice, and I'm going to put some of the meat on top of that. Some beans, corn, tomato, green onions, white onion, cheese on my husband's. Oh, I should have put the salsa on first. It would have looked prettier. Salsa. lettuce. I like guacamole. The husband doesn't. He likes sour cream. I don't. Okay, blue cheese dressing on his. This Western dressing on mine. And you wouldn't have to put salad dressing on, but that's how we enjoy it. And then I have these tortilla strips that I made today, but I have seen them in Walmart. I've seen them in the salad section by the croutons, just in little Ziploc bags of them. And I've seen them quite a bit now, so I know they keep them regularly in stock. To make the tortilla strips is so simple. I have some white corn tortillas here that I am just going to cut into strips. And then I am going to just put them on the sheet pan here. I'm going to spray them with some cooking spray first, and then kind of toss them around in that. I should have just sprayed my pan first, but I didn't. And this will be fine. I have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. So, and then just another light spray on top. I think I'm gonna put salt on half, some taco seasoning on the other half. These kind of taste like a homemade Dorito when you put the taco seasoning on them. So I'm going to put these in the oven for 8 minutes at 400 degrees. These have been in for a total of 11 minutes, and I think they look pretty good. And obviously you can deep fry these if you'd rather, just in a skillet with some oil. But I think this makes a little healthier version. If not healthier, it's definitely a lot less messy to do it this way. The second pan I laid them out a little more evenly, and I think they browned more evenly. These might also be good with a ranch powder sprinkled over them like I did the taco seasoning. Or you could put a hot salt or cayenne over them if you like hot things. Or you could also make them herb flavored if you wanted to put them in salads. So there you have burrito bowls made with the taco meat that I made on the day that we prepped all of the ground beef dishes.